Hi and welcome to Exploring with Em and Stu.
And you may have watched our previous video where we've been following the coastline of Norfolk on the search for the remains of the World War II defences that were constructed here. And today we've come just slightly further up the coast. We're actually in between Walcott and Bacton. And we're going to take you for a little explore along here to see what we can find.
So let's go.
So we've previously spoken to you a bit about the defences that were built here during the invasion crisis of 1940, where every vulnerable part of the coastline of Great Britain was absolutely covered in these anti-invasion defences such as pillbox, scaffolding, we had anti-tank blocks, we had minefields and all sorts of things that were constructed along the coast. And like I said, today we've actually come here to Bacton and Walcott to have a little look and see what we can actually find here. So one of the first things we're going to take you for a little look at is just off the coast path here. So we'll head up there and see if we can find it. Now these coastal defences, which were often referred to as the coastal crust, and we predominantly think of them as actually being along the coasts, along the beaches. But in fact, a lot of vulnerable areas, such as I guess this little lane that we're walking on now, were also given defences just in case if the enemies did invade on the beaches, they weren't actually able to get too far inland. And like I said, this little lane that we're actually on here has got one of these particular defensive features. We don't see too many of them, and they're quite rare, I do believe. We have in fact seen one before, but we're going to take a little look and see if we can find what we're looking for just down here. And so here we have it. The first thing that we're going to take you for a little look at is actually a section post. And here it is. Like I said earlier, these are actually quite rare. We've only ever seen one other of them in Norfolk, and according to this nice little handy information plaque there, it says there is only actually two of these in Norfolk, so I guess we've now found them both. But if you're wondering what a section post was, they were basically just a hardened field defence. This would have been put here to defend this little track. It's got 11 loopholes in total, and I think it's about 24 foot long. This is actually quite a large one, much bigger in fact than the one we actually saw at Cromer. And supposedly it was actually disguised as a haystack during the war, of course, to try and sort of stop any enemies from being able to instantly recognise it. But I guess with all these rather prominent loopholes, it wouldn't have taken them long to realise what they'd come across. But we're not going to take you for a little look inside, but we can show you some pictures of the one in Cromer, and I believe this is very much identical. But yeah, quite a fascinating piece of the World War II defences, just sitting here on this little lane.
So we're heading away from this rather large sectioning post now.
It
is rather large. It does go into a farmer's field, which is just over there, and backs onto someone's private house, but it's not in their garden.
Yeah, we probably could have taken a look inside it if we didn't mind popping onto that farmer's field, but we're not going to do that today.
No.
But like I said, these are quite fascinating. I mean, they do say that they're, like I said, hardened field defence. Sometimes they have roofs, sometimes they don't. And they only really, I think, defended one particular area. This one's got 5 loopholes straight onto the lane here, and 6 loopholes sort of looking towards the coast.
The other side, yeah.
But there would have been other pillboxes around the area for actually defending the coast.
Yeah.
So this wasn't really used for the same sort of thing. But yeah,
it is quite fascinating actually, being in such a small rural area as well. It's quite cool.
Yeah, but then a lot of these little coastal villages, just like this one, were defended, weren't they?
They were.
Just because there are not many people live here doesn't mean that the enemies couldn't have still got onto those beaches.
No, that's it.
We're actually going to head now back towards the coast, aren't we?
We are.
Because we're on the hunt for some pillboxes and a few other different types of defences.
That's it.
We're hoping that we can still find.
But we've got to get past this minefield of puddles first, and we'll see you on the other side. So now we're walking upon the duney part of the seafront. We've just left the sectioning post over that minefield of puddles.
Yes, like I said, we've brought you back down towards the actual coast because, of course, these defences were built predominantly to defend the coast. Now, sadly, today we can't actually show you an awful lot of the actual coastal defences because, of course, they're not here anymore. Like many of the coastlines, these defences have been removed, thankfully, because if we just turn you around a little bit, we've got these, what today are beautiful, clean, long stretches of beaches, but back in 1940, they would have been covered in anti-tank scaffolding, barbed wire. We know there was some anti-tank ditches built along here. We'd have had minefields out there in the sea, but we would have also have had a few pillboxes, and we do know that there was at least 3 pillboxes built along just this small little piece here, and these would have stretched all along the coast here. Now, of course, today they're not here. They were either probably demolished either by the eyesore clearance or possibly even the actual erosion, because of course you can see that the coastline has receded quite a lot in the last 80 years, and thankfully they've actually got some coastal defences here now to try and prevent that erosion, which sadly a lot of the coastline, like what we saw down at Haysborough a few weeks ago, actually doesn't. But we're going to continue along here because there are 1 or 2 features that we can actually show you. So we'll keep going, and when we get there, we'll take you for a look. So we've actually come off of the coast now. You can see it just about behind me there, because we were aware of another line of pillboxes that was just slightly inland. And here it is, one of the ones that we were actually looking for. And this is a fairly standard type 22 pillbox. And we can actually just about see that it was actually made out of bricks as well as concrete. Originally, unfortunately, there's not too much of the brickwork left there. And we often see pillboxes in Suffolk, and they are just concrete. And the reason why there seems to be so many of these ones in Norfolk that were really constructed of brick or used for brick was because they actually had a little bit of a shortage of wood, so it was later on in the war. And so they used the brickwork as a bit of a mould, and I believe they just sort of poured it in to use the bricks as a mould. And thanks to Julian, actually, who pointed that out in the last video, because I'd completely forgotten. But we can't have a look inside this one, again, sadly, because the entrance is on the other side. But it's got a lovely sort of field of view out towards the coast from pretty much most of its directions. But if we carry on walking just a little bit further down this public footpath, because we're just walking on a public footpath here, we've got another defensive feature to try and show you. Now, unfortunately, these are often rather buried and difficult to see. And the one that we're going to show you right now is no exception, because what's disguised itself as, a bramble bush is in fact a spigot mortar pedestal. And you can just about make out sort of the metal there where this spigot mortar, also known of course as a blackhead bombard, would have been mounted. And this is actually quite a large one, but these would have been dotted all along the coast. I'm not sure if this one is actually in situ. It could have very likely been, because it's got quite a decent sort of field of view here. But they're always nice to sort of come across. And this one's just sitting here next to its pillbox again, they often were, at the side of the footpath.
So we've just come from that little pillbox just over there, and Emma is going to explain what that bush in the background is.
Well, I don't know if you can actually see it very well. Maybe I'll get Stu to use his zoom lens to try and zoom in and have a little better look at it. But just behind us there, just in front of where you see those pylons, there is actually another one of these type 22 pillboxes. We assume that it's probably identical to this one, and just either side of it, supposedly there is 2 spigot mortar pedestals there as well.
Yeah.
But they're not on a public footpath, so sadly we're not going to try and access them today.
No.
But we are going to head back towards the coast and have another look at another feature, which I believe is actually right on the coast. So let's carry on back down this footpath and we'll have a look.
And this is very disappointing. We have come to an abandoned bit of land where hopefully there was a...
Spigot mortar.
That's it.
Supposedly, yeah.
And it's right on the Bacton car park, isn't it?
It is, yeah. A little bit of land next to Bacton car park. We've seen a good few photographs of quite a rather lovely, not in situ anymore, but spigot mortar
That's
pedestal that we were rather hoping that we could have a good look at, unlike the other ones that we've sort of seen from a distance today. But
Or in brambles.
can we find it?
No, I think it's been moved.
I think it has, yeah. We've had a good look around the area, but unfortunately, it's often the case, isn't it?
It
when
is.
you come and do explores like this and you're following a photograph that might be 10 years, 12 years old.
That's it, yeah.
And yeah, things are gone. So
That's
maybe
it.
that's worth reporting onto the Pillbox Study Group website that this is no longer here. So.
That's it. But we are going to be carrying on now. I think we're going to attempt to get to one more pillbox, I believe, which is on, it's not private land, but it's on a private road. Is that right?
Well, it's we couldn't access it earlier because all the footpaths that came off of the coast were private.
Private, yeah.
So yeah, we're going to have a little look and hopefully, fingers crossed.
That's it.
I think there's a building site next to it, but we'll see if we can find it.
Okay, so come on our travels, we see if we can find this or locate this last pillbox.
Yeah, and we'll see you there, whether it's there or not. See you in a bit. And just heading back from Bacton up there, we've taken you for a look at one last thing, mainly because we weren't able to show you that spigot mortar. We were quite disappointed. But just next to this construction site, and we weren't too sure if this was even still going to be here, we have still got a little Type 22 pillbox, and thankfully it looks like it's probably going to be saved when they build the houses. We hope so, but again, we can't get inside this one, and I will try and get a little bit of some better scans and things of it so you can see it better, because this one as well is wearing a little bit of a vegetation hat going on there. But this would have been guarding, I would imagine, the coastal lane. Again, you've got the coast just down there, and just in case any enemies managed to get onto those beaches and break through that coastal cross line, they had these pillboxes dotted around to hopefully try and stop them. So there we go. But we've got one last place that we want to take you for, I say, a little look at, to talk to you about on the way back. So we will meet you there.
Right, so we are now finished our little video. We've come to the end of this absolutely beautiful little archway that we've ended up at.
That's it, we are at Broom Holm Priory. This is the beautiful gatehouse, and behind it we've got the ruins of the priory, which of course was destroyed during Henry VIII's time. But the reason why we've actually brought you here is because this priory, which is a private home now, and we're not going to obviously go on to that, is surrounded by military features. The actual ruins were turned into a pillbox back in the day. I mean, some people would say that's not very good, bearing in mind it's now a listed structure. But still, we're quite interested to take a little look, as well as the other remains out here. So I guess what we're really saying is, if you happen to own this, or you know somebody that does, then please, if you don't mind us coming and doing a little video of it, we'd love if you could do that. So maybe give us a little email. The link's in the description below.
That's it.
But yeah, this has been quite a nice little day, just having a little wander up from the coast. We were actually here last weekend in our van.
We were.
And if you watch our The Great Escapes videos, then you would know that we've been travelling around our camper van here. We were supposed to be doing this video last weekend. We were, and it snowed us in. But go over to that channel anyway, have a quick look at it, and then come over to this where we were talking about coming to do this. That's it, yeah.
Anyway, but if you have liked this video, please like and subscribe. It's completely free and it helps our channel build and build. Yeah, and we'd love you to give it a like and give us some comments if you've got anything to add to this. And we're hoping to do a few more videos like this. Eventually, we want to cover the entire Norfolk and Suffolk coast. But yeah, and we've also got our Patreon. Don't forget, £3 a month, lots of extra content. You can check that out in the link below. That's it. So anyway, from House and Exploring with Reverend Stu. Here at, well, we've been between Walcott and Bacton and Keswick and everything in between. Thanks for watching as always, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.